Hey there, guys. Welcome to the first episode of the Firm My Life podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about choices, about how to make the right choice, and especially I want to talk to you about what to do when you make a bad choice, how to recover from a blunder. So here's what I want to do. Imagine with me a blank canvas. Just a square, white canvas. There's no markings on it. It's clean, it's fresh, it's ready to go. And you are the painter. You're the artist. And in your hand is a paintbrush. It's like this one here that I hold in my hand. And this paintbrush represents choices. And you have the opportunity to paint that canvas any way that you choose. That canvas is your day. And every day you get a brand new canvas. But the choices that you make, the small choices from getting up on your alarm, from what you eat for breakfast and what you do with your free time, to bigger choices, the situations at work or at school, the how you deal with your parents or your wife or your children, or all the bigger decisions. Everything is part of the canvas. It's part of the painting. The thing is, when you take that painting and you combine it with yesterday's painting and the day before and last month and last year, you put them all together, what do you get? Your life. Because it all comes down to this: the quality of your choices determine the quality of your life. And whether it's a small choice or whether it's a big choice, they all affect us. But let's talk about small choices for a minute. In my hand here, I've got 2 Oreos. They're off-brand vanilla Oreos. It's all I had laying around. And these 2 Oreos combined, they're roughly 100 calories, about 110. We're going to call it 100. Now, if you was to eat these 2 Oreos right now, it wouldn't affect you very much. It's not really that big of a deal. But if you was to eat 100 calories, these 2 Oreos, every day for 1 year, I'm talking about 100 calories in excess to what you should be eating. In 1 year, you would gain 10 pounds. Now, that's not a whole lot. It's just 10 pounds. But what if you times that by 2 or 3, 5, or even 10? Think about that. 2 Oreos a day for 10 years. Just small choice. Just 100 calories. That's 100 pounds. 100 pounds of body fat. Now, that's a big deal. Think of all the health issues then, the obesity, the high blood sugar, the blood pressure, all the things that'd be going on. It would totally be controlling your life, your lifestyle, your mindset. It would have a huge effect on your life. Just small decisions. Now, here's the deal. Small decisions, when they're added up over time, when these small decisions, they're stacked together, they create massive results. It's a big deal. It's a big deal in our life. And one small thing that greatly affects us that sometimes we don't think about is our attitude. It's just one of the simple things, man. We could talk about attitude. We could talk about your communication skills, your financial habits, your self-discipline. All of these things are just small daily choices that we're making that is having a huge impact on what our life looks like. You take somebody with a negative attitude. Now, your attitude affects your view of life. It affects how you handle challenges, how you face problems, how you deal with other people. You have a negative attitude. Do you think you're going to attract the right relationships? Do you think you're going to attract opportunities for growth? No. Versus somebody with a positive attitude, yes, doors are going to open that you didn't even realize were there. You're going to attract people and opportunity into your life, all because of your attitude. But also, it goes a little deeper, because you think about, not only does our small decisions add up over time, our small choices also greatly determine how we make our large decisions, our large choices. Let's say you had an attitude, since we're on that topic, of just giving up. You had no resilience. You wasn't patient. When the going got hard, you went home. When things got tough, you quit. What would happen if you had that attitude that you developed by small choices over time, and you took that attitude, say, to college, and college started getting difficult and classes got hard? What would you do? Maybe it's your job, and that boss is hard to deal with, or that coworker, or maybe just the actual job is stressful. What do? What about a marriage? And it's all, honeymoon and love and romance and, bunnies and chocolate and hearts, whatever. And then all of a sudden, life happens, and there's issues and there's struggles and there's things you're trying to deal with and overcome. And you have an attitude of just always giving up. What happens? In these situations, these attitude that you have could be life-changing choices. So our small choices, they add up over time, but they also affect the big choices that we make. What do we do when we make a bad choice? We're all human. Maybe you have bad attitudes right now in your life, bad mindsets in your life. Maybe you've made bad financial choices in your life. All of these things, whatever. What do you do now? What do you do with the blunder? So let me illustrate it with this. I like to play the game of chess, and here recently I went on a pretty bad losing streak. And I'm a very competitive person. I can't stand to lose at anything, and I take it tough sometimes. But here's the deal. I began to notice that I was losing a lot. And what was happening was I would be developing my pieces. I would be choosing which piece and what square I wanted to move it to. And I would make a blunder. I'd make a bad move. I'd screw up. I didn't see it. I was distracted, whatever. And because of that, I found myself getting frustrated. I'd get angry at myself. I'd get angry, at the game. And that would lead me to another blunder. And now all of a sudden, I've lost two important pieces, and I'm in a really bad, setup, and it would lead to a checkmate situation. I lose. I caught that, and here's what I started to do. I began to adopt a new strategy, and my strategy was simple. It was this. When I make a blunder, take a second to think about it, and don't do it again. Basically, lock in. Dial in. Focus on my strategy. Follow a plan. Prepare my defense and my offense. Don't make another blunder. And I'm telling you, true story, my win rate went up probably 50, 60, 70%. Simply because I didn't follow the blunder with another blunder. Maybe I would make a good move and, recover, and all of a sudden now I'm in the game. I'm equal. I'm moving forward. Or maybe my opponent would make their own blunder. Whatever, I began to win. But I began to think about that in my own life. It's like, man, I do that so often. Like, I make a mistake, I screw up, and then, I feel ashamed. I'm full of regret. It begins to drain my self-worth, my self-confidence, and all of a sudden I find myself in a tailspin, like a stalled plane, and it's just headed down in a spiral. Boom, crash. Over and over. As you see, it's not about that mistake. It's not about the bad choice. It ain't the first look, the first drink, the first mess up. It's not these things. It's what I do next. You see, the best thing you can do after not doing the right thing first is to do the right thing the second time. The other day, I had a parent talking to me, and they were talking about the remorse and the regret they had for decisions they had made. And they was telling me how that their bad decisions had led their teenage kids to also making bad decisions and dealing with all this baggage and struggles in their life. And they told me, it's like, I want to do different. I want to fix this. I want to do the next right thing. I'm trying to turn my life around for them. I just thought that was incredible. Because what do you do when you're faced with that situation and you're like, hey, I'm in this spot. I know I'm here, but I want to do something different. I want to fix it. The thing about God is He always gives second chances. And so props to you for going out there and trying to fix the problem, doing the next right thing. So many times, as my years of being a youth pastor, parents would come to me and they'd be like, look, my kid is doing this at school. They're doing this at home. They're involved with this type of person, whatever. Or, the student, the teenager would come to me and they would be like, hey, man, I'm dealing with this problem. I'm dealing with this addiction. I'm dealing with this struggle. What do I do? We'd sit down and we would develop a strategy. We'd develop a game plan, and they would leave like fired up, inspired to win. They'd have a game plan. They're ready to go execute, and then they don't follow through. Why do people not follow through? I don't know. They just don't. But that's where you've got to be different. You see, you've got to follow through with doing the next right thing. So what does the next right thing look like for you? Maybe it's an apology. Maybe it's just hey, I screwed up. I want to do different. If it's a financial thing, maybe it's just overtime. Maybe you got to get out there and you say, hey, I've got to spend the next few months working some overtime. I've got to sell some stuff to recover from this blunder. Maybe it's just as simple as owning up. Just accepting responsibility and putting one foot in front of the next and just doing the next right thing. Maybe it's stop eating the Oreos. Maybe it's changing your attitude. Maybe it's learning how to communicate better. Maybe it's forgiving somebody. You go figure it out. So, here's the blueprint. Here's the formula for recovering from a blunder. Step 1. Recognize the pattern. Just like I did when I was playing chess. And I was like, okay, I've got to stop. I recognized, hey, I am following a blunder with the blunder and I've got to fix this. What that looks like for you is just thinking about it. Instead of just automatically going down that rabbit hole, it's wait a minute, pause, give me a second, what do I do next? That's what it means to recognize the pattern. Second thing you do is you dial in. You've got to focus. You've got to get a strategy. You've got to get a plan. These two things are mental things. All right, I'm recognizing and I'm dialing in. That's mental. All right, you've got to get that. Third thing you've got to do is you've got to take action. You've got to do the next right thing. You've got to follow through. Whatever it looks like. We talked about that. Whatever it looks like for you, whatever the next right thing looks like, figure it out and go do it. That's how you recover from a blunder. All right, so I can tell you the very best next right thing for you is to subscribe to my new podcast. Share it with your friends, leave a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one.